of what we thought.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
Great.
He didn't disappoint, did he?
And I had an absolute joy meeting him. And also Josh McAllister, another lad who listens to the show. He lives near us.
He's a local.
Surprised I've never met you before.
Plays up at Blackpool Stanley, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Their open age side now, so.
Yeah, he's just played. I think it's his first year at the open age side, maybe this year. And he's so he came up and said hello, which was really nice of him to do. And it's always nice seeing Josh.
And that was a pleasure because I've never met him
back
before.
A few years now, to before the show.
Yeah, you were grooming him long before the Super League pod started, weren't you?
But yeah, it was great to see them. And
it was,
like you say, total surprise because nothing was planned at all for
Friday night. Yeah, moving into Saturday, which was kind of like the main event, really, wasn't it? In terms of at least you and me having the afternoon and going out on the beer.
Yeah, my main event of it was seeing Cass for the first time in a few weeks as well, and getting a few beers with one of my best friends from school as well, and himself.
John contributes to the podcast on a sporadic basis, but he does get in touch.
He more often just gets in touch with me to tell me what we did wrong or what was annoying that week.
There you go. Oh, good stuff.
But yeah, so yeah, whilst we were out with him, we ran into Johnny Bullheed or Johnny No Cash or That River, whatever you want to, whatever pseudonym is going under most suits your knowledge of him best. But really, and his missus as well, Nadine, who's
our first official German listener.
To our knowledge, our first German fan,
which was incredible. And also Chris McEwen came out as well, and we were all of us in Wigan Central at the same time, weren't we? I feel like we should. Well, probably you were all right, but I was pretty oiled at that point. So I did. But I did chat to Chris McEwen for a bit. But it was like.
Were you too busy bumming cigarettes?
One of those flashbacks. Yeah, I was smoking rolls and drinking warm beer with Johnny. It was a good time, man.
Yeah, so it was really nice to meet those guys. Definitely, we watched the game in the end with Johnny.
And that was it.
So 2 nights out of 2, we got to watch the game with listeners, which was great fun. I mean, me and Johnny obviously were a little bit exasperated with what we were seeing, but we'll talk about that more later on. But before the game and everything, and during, we had a great time. Thanks for the pint that he bought, the beers that he bought. He might have bought us a couple in the end.
I think he bought us a couple in the end, but what a lovely couple as well. It was just a pleasure to meet them, wasn't it?
Lots of great stories to tell about the travels and stuff. It's really interesting.
Very well travelled.
Find out what they've been up to, those two. They met out in the outback, basically, because on the working visas, Nadine was telling me, on the working visas you can't stay and just stay in a city to get it renewed. You have to sort of go and do a bit of a bush apprenticeship, basically.
You've got to go out to come back in,
and that's where they met. I think like on a fruit.
I think her exact turn of phrase was, he was the only guy left. Sure, he doesn't care. I'm certain he doesn't care.
Yeah, and Chris, I mean, we spoke about it before. He was thinking about starting up some sort of cricket podcast or something, but that's one of his main interests, is he plays for a cricket team. Cass was saying now he can't play rugby anymore because of his back injury. He was wanting to get back into cricket, and Chris was trying to recruit him. It's a bit far to travel down to where Chris lives in sort of North Staffordshire, South Cheshire, North Staffordshire sort of area.
Fair enough.
Is the league he plays in, I think.
Right.
But yeah, so that was good. Chatting about that and everything, it was really great.
And 2 further examples of real Super League pod royalty.
Yeah, and also I just want to talk about Chris's wife a little bit, really.
Okay.
We didn't meet her, but she's got a far better handle on things than Chris himself has, because he was telling me he was a bit aggrieved after we always pronounce his surname McEwen rather than McKeown.
Right.
He was a bit aggrieved one day to phone up his missus' work, and she obviously wasn't at her desk. Got through to the voicemail, and it said, "Oh, you're through to the voicemail of Mrs. McEwen."
Oh no! So he's had to correct her.
No, she's onto the right track, and he's now realising slowly that he's wrong.
No, it's McKeown. How does he identify?
Well, obviously, if he knows what's good for him.
What's good for him?
Well, I tell him. No,
oh, well, there you go.
No, his wife tells him.
Yet further confusion.
She's in charge.
Yes, well,
it just muddies the waters further.
It does further, doesn't it? So then on Sunday, you arrived on Sunday afternoon kind of and eyed me suspiciously to see how hungover I was. I was doing all right. I was a bit tired. The drive down in your hotbox car didn't help, because you had to keep the windows from steaming up.
Well, the cold rain and the wind didn't really help with whatever's up with my blowers at the moment.
But consequently, we were a bit late getting to Leeds. But about sort of 15 minutes or so, got into the original Oak, and of course the first person, as we mentioned before, that we met was Dave Cantrell. He was
an unmissable presence.
Hard to miss, really. Yeah, absolutely. And but also we were joined later on by Sean Orton as well, weren't we?
Yeah, and his mate Dave popped along later. Not a podcast listener, I don't think, but he was a pleasant gentleman as well. Let us get all of our rugby league talk on. He sort of sat in the background.
That's it, yeah.
And got on. Yeah, so Sean, another person who's sort of aspiring to find his niche to podcast about as well, isn't he?
I think what these people are doing is listening to it and going, yeah, it's not that hard really, is it? We could do that.
Exactly, yeah. And he has so much interesting stuff to tell.
He does have a very interesting angle in terms of his involvement in rugby league.
Yeah, from his sort of days being involved in club management at the St Albans Centurions, and he gave us a new perspective on the Hemel Stags, didn't he?
Yeah, he's not a fan of the Hemel Stags, is he?
No, and yeah, so it was really great, like seeing Dave again. It was like catching up with Dave, sort of thing. What beers have you had since we last chatted? That's kind of our thing together, I think now. And meeting Sean, because Sean's done a lot for the show in terms of set up the Super Roo League, and been in touch with me about different bits and bobs along the way ever since the start, really. So yeah, it was really a pleasure.
Yes, it absolutely was.
And then during half time of the Leeds game, we had our final little.
How could I possibly nearly forgot? I nearly took us into the news, but even more Super League pod royalty, because we queued up for chips with Dr. Bob Phillips and his lovely young lad Alex.
Yeah, and Alex was. What a young chap.
Yeah, starstruck a little bit to be. Well, no, I'm joking.
if of all the people we met, the one who treated us the most like we were celebrities was Bob. Yeah, and we were like, hold on.
Yeah,
hold on it.
Yeah,
you're the famous. You're the world famous paediatric oncologist, Dr. Bob Phillips.
It was one of the funniest things I heard all weekend when we were talking about him making house calls and the only reason he would. Well, no, so we queued up with him and a quick catch up whilst they bought the chips.
Yeah, well, Alex was saying about how his dad's always in the paper and gets famous, and how he's proud of him, but it's quite embarrassing as well.
Yeah, and his eyes are in the right direction in terms of looking for heroes when it comes to the three of us that were talking to him. He's locked onto the right target.
Most definitely. He had a few interesting ideas about how he might develop a protective shield for himself so he could go skydiving all he wants, because his dad wasn't too keen on the suggestion, was he? When we're talking about dangerous pursuits Alex could follow as he grows up.
Yeah, let's not try and encourage the lad to jump out of too many planes. I'm not sure Bob would thank us
but it was really lovely chatting to the both of them.
It was a great way to round off the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's the feedback and shout outs taken care of. Bob, if you're listening, it's time to stop Alex from listening as we bring you the news from around the world of rugby league. Okay, so
we got away with that, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did all right. I was going to. My inclination was to open the segment with a barrage of swear words.
Well, I was when we were talking about Sean before we get to the news.
Yes.
Now Alex is offline.
Go on.
I was going to talk about funny names.
Right.
I'll talk about the Mongkok Creepers, who were the
Hong Kong Sevens.
Hong Kong Nines.
The Mongkok
Creepers.
Yeah, so if you've heard of a better team name than the Mongkok Creepers, please let us know.
Because they're outstanding, yeah.
I'm definitely interested in following the Creepers.
Well, the logo as well is like these two white eyes piercing out of a black background. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Are you aware of the Lonely Island? It's Andy Samberg.
The music.
Yeah, they do. They do a song called "The Creep," and that was what that set me off thinking about. They were the guys that
Stacey's mum or something.
No, that was Fountains of Wayne. No,
same crack.
No, it's not. Fountains of Wayne were like a fairly legitimate band.
Oh right.
These are legitimate as well. They just do like silly, funny songs.
Yeah.
But it's all like hip hop and rap. But they do one called "The Creep" as well. So that was what that put me in mind of.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there you go. Okay.
News.
Yes, news from around the world of rugby league. Right, lots of contracts and injuries and things to tell you about this week. Starting with Wigan Warriors, who announced that Ben Flower has signed a new 4-year deal that will see him stay with the Wigan club until the end of the 2020 season. Ben, who's 28, signed for Wigan in 2012 from Crusaders and made his debut against Huddersfield Giants in round 1 of the 2012 Super League. He's an international prop for Wales, and Flower has won 3 major trophies during his time at Wigan and played a role in the double winning team of 2013 when Wigan won both the Challenge Cup and the Super League. No mention of his performance in the grand final, where he got sent off, though, which is perhaps what he's most notably remembered for, said Tom, editorialising. I love playing here, and no,
I was going to give a mention to that later on, though. We'll get to it. Mr. Albert related.
No, hang on. No, I'm not having you draw that comparison.
No. You'll enjoy what I've got to say.
Oh, will I?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Flower said, I love playing here, and I know I'm very lucky to be able to represent this great club. To be able to play in games like the World Club Series against Brisbane on Saturday, I couldn't carry on for this long. I thought it was a short quote. Is an honour and something I don't take for granted. My family and I are really settled in Wigan. My little boy's grown up here, and we're expecting another child soon. So we're settled here, and that's important to me. I'm really pleased to sign this new deal and look forward to the years ahead. Now, come on.
Yeah,
it's like he was in the room. Okay,
it was like we were in Pontypandy.
Thank you. Okay, Huddersfield forward Michael Lawrence has signed a new 3.5-year deal to the end of the 2019 season. The 25-year-old's current deal was due to run out at the end of this season. I have no hesitation. I have no idea what he sounds like. I had no hesitation in staying when the offer came, and for some it can be a worrying time if you're out of contract, he told the club website. I've always been happy here and like to think I'm playing my part in pushing us up towards the top end of the competition. So
I've always imagined him as a bit of a mumbler. Mike Lawrence. Yeah.
Maybe
just gets about his business quietly is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Rather than anything
softly spoken and utterly terrified.
Yeah, of any sort of media exposure. Like, this was his worst nightmare.
Yeah,
we'll go out there and not miss a tackle for a quarter of a season or so, and standard.
Yeah, that's standard issue.
Yeah.
Why would you miss tackles? Okay, let's talk injuries, because there's been a few fairly serious ones this week. First of all, we'll do it in some sort of chronological order, I guess. Hull KR forward James Donaldson has been ruled out for 10 to 12 weeks after suffering a dislocated wrist in last Sunday's 38-8 defeat at the Warrington Wolves. The former Wolves back rower, who was the man of the match in Rovers' season opener against Castleford Tigers, is going to undergo surgery next week after joining skipper Terry Campese, hooker Sean Lunt and fellow second rower Kevin Leroyer on the injury list at Hull KR. So Hull KR's problems compounded even further now with the growing injury list, Mark.
Yeah, and he's had his operation. He tweeted out a picture of himself in his hospital bed.
I've got to say,
hospital selfie. So best of luck to his.
I've got to say, I do feel a little sorry for James Donaldson, because I don't know if you recall, but he missed 2 very big chunks of his time at Bradford Bulls with some serious knee injuries.
Yeah, it's a good job. It's a good thing for him that it's not the same sort of injury in a way, even though it's obviously going to be frustrating.
Yeah, because he's a good young player, but it's just sad to see him be so hampered. St Helens centre Mark Percival is set for a lengthy spell on the sidelines as well, after suffering a potential season-ending knee injury. Percival ruptured medial ligaments during his side's 44-10 Super League defeat at the Salford Red Devils. And from Saturday night, Wigan hooker Michael McAlorum is facing a 6-month layoff after sustaining a suspected broken ankle in the World Club Series defeat by Brisbane.
Yeah, dislocated, broken, really serious injury, obviously, to McAlorum.
I think the thing that you need to take from this, apart from wishing Michael McAlorum well, is how hard is that little fucker that he's done all that to his ankle, and you watch him when it happens, and he just sort of waves them on. My head would fall off. I'd be weeping like a newborn, I think, if that happened to me. So every credit to Michael McAlorum. He took it like a man, and we wish him a speedy recovery, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
sure you do.
6 months minimum, and it leaves Wigan with a bit of a hole hooker. It's one of the positions, that and probably wing, where they haven't got any experience depth really whatsoever. I mean, Sam Powell plays there, but he's a halfback, and with Matty Smith injured potentially for a week or two, that opens up question marks around those positions. And then add to that, Willie Ice is going to be out probably for a spell, a month or two, counting the cost of that game really from a Wigan's perspective. There's been a rumour going around for a few weeks now that Bob Bezic was coming back to the club. It's been picked up by some more mainstream news sources now that McAlorum's been injured as well. So we'll see what comes of that. But obviously he's not been getting picked for Lee at all. He's not had a look in.
No.
So we'll see how that goes. But that could be a useful resource.
That seems like a fit, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, because you don't want someone who's going to cost you a lot of money. But you need someone who's got a bit of experience, bit of nous.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, some loan moves to tell you about now. Hull FC centre Connor Bauer has joined to York City Knights on a season-long loan. Salford's outside back Jake Bibby has joined Oldham on a 1-month loan, and Hull FC player Richard Whiting has joined Championship side Leigh Centurions on a 2-month loan deal. And finally, Mark,
And finally, this is a story coming from down under this week.
It's not often I feel sorry for criminals, really, but I think in this case I do a little bit. Australian Rugby League player Jamal Idris has been the victim of a kidnapping attempt in Vietnam, according